All right, guys, so we are finished with the background part of our journal page. And what I'm going to do right now is add some embellishments and start putting some images on the page that I want to do. And then tomorrow we'll actually do the journaling portion of the page. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And I really am not quite sure what I'm going to do, but I've got a couple of ideas that I'm going to show you guys. This is just I know it looks terrible because I use it all the time, but this is just a stencil, and I use it for embellishing, just putting some like extra depth to the page. So you don't have to have a stencil, you can just paint circles or squares or whatever, and I'll do some of that too just to kind of show you how that's done. You can use an ink pad if you want, which is, I use the StazOn. I know it's got paint on it. Sorry, everything I have has paint on it, but it StazOn, and it's like a permanent ink, so water doesn't mess with it. So, but you can use any kind of ink pad or black paint if you want to, or whatever. I'm going to use the black ink. And instead of using the ink pad, I actually have a refill bottle, and I'm just going to use that because it's easier, but I just dip it onto my pad. You can use a baby wipe or a paper towel. I just happen to have these pads, so I use them, but anything, you know, any kind of tissue or anything like that will work. So what I usually do is try to put just some things, you know, around some of the corners to kind of bring out, just give it a little bit of depth. So what happens is once I pat on there, then I can lift it up, and as you can see, I have a little bit of depth to that. I can go over to the other corner if I want and do that. And then I don't like to waste my ink, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip it over. I'm just gonna hit it with my hand and get all that extra ink off, and it gives it a little bit more stuff in the center. So I'm gonna do that, you know, just wherever I feel like it needs some, you know, whatever depth on it. You can go all the way across the page. You can go in the middle of your page if you want. You can do it, you know, whatever you're comfortable with. And just some additional, you know, just color, and you can do this with other colors of ink too. You don't have to just do it with black. I like the black because when I have a dark background like this, it tends to show up a little bit better. So, I don't know if you can see that very well in the video. Let me see if I can lift it for you so you can see. There we go. You see those, the way that kind of pops a little bit, and you can even embellish it by like taking a white pen and going around the circles if you want to bring them out even more. Just understand when you have ink, you're gonna get it all over your fingers. So if you don't like that, you can wear some plastic gloves, because I know some of you guys are not into getting paint and ink all over your hands. So I walk around constantly with paint and ink on my hands. People kind of know that that's just who I am. Okay, so I've got a little bit of depth to it now. You can even use some of the things you can do is use stamps. I have this little background stamp that's just dots, and I could just stamp it on here if I wanted to. Or I have this one, which is like just dots as well, but it's bigger, and I could stamp that on there if I wanted to. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. You could just simply take some black paint and pour a little bit into a cup, and just use your fingers if you wanted to, and you could just add some little dots here and there with your fingers. You can do some swipes if you want to, like that. You can do you could do some swipes up if you wanted to, just to kind of add a little bit of depth. I mean, it really is all about just messiness. Just make it your own. And life is messy, and art is messy, and I like to express the messiness of things in my art and in my art journaling, especially, just because, you know, none of us are perfect, and sometimes we tend to get ourselves into a situation where we feel bad about the fact that we're not perfect, and we give us, you know, we tell ourselves these things that are not necessarily true because of that. So that's what this page is all about, is all of those lies that we tell ourselves. So anyway, messy. I like it messy. I have a little bit of washi tape right here. I actually have a whole box of washi tape that I got for like 10 bucks on sale at Hobby Lobby, and then I used a 40% off coupon, so I got it for even cheaper. But washi tape is really good for holding paper down if it's curling up when you're working on it. But you can also just like stick washi tape wherever you want to on your page and just give it a little bit of like extra color and depth and texture. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this washi tape. It's not even, the color doesn't even match the page. I have more that has color that does match, but this happened to be on my desk and I just happened to see it, so I'm going to stick it right there just because. All right, so I'm going to start adding some images. So what I did was I went through some magazines and I found I found this little picture. Funny story. In my entire studio could not find a pair of scissors. I don't know what I've done with my scissors, like all this stuff that I have, and I can't find scissors. So I just tore it around the edges, which is fine. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not interested in perfection. And I'm just gonna stick her onto the page right here, because what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put the lies I tell myself, or lies in my head, or something right across the top of her, and then I'm going to have my journaling coming out of that, just because I think it just sounded like a cool concept of like all the things coming that you tell yourself that are in your head, you want to get out of your head and start putting those positive vibes in. So I just cut out a picture out of a magazine. You don't have to be able to draw, and I'm going to use this Mod Podge, but you can use just like Elmer's glue, or you can use washi tape if you want to. You can use basically whatever you want to stick it down. So I'm just going to paint this this Mod Podge on the back of her. And I don't worry about getting it on the paper, on the page, because it dries clear, so no biggie. Just make sure you get the edges really good so it'll stick down. And then I'm going to stick her on my page right here at the bottom. And she got a little bit of ink on her, but that's okay. So this is going to represent me and the things that I tell myself in my head that are not right. So she's going to be my head. And then I'll be sure if you use Mod Podge that you put your brush in a glass of water, because that Mod Podge dries and it'll ruin your brush, and you don't want to do that. So, but if you happen to do that, Murphy's oil soap works really well if you soak it overnight to break up the Mod Podge, and it'll clean up your brush. Okay, so so next, because I had to tear her and she kind of looks kind of weird on the page, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of my paint now, and I'm going to go around the edges of her with some of this green paint that I used yesterday, just to kind of cover some of those edges. It doesn't have to be perfect, just to kind of give it a little bit of, like, so it doesn't look so weird because I tore her, and that's okay. So I'm just going to go around the edges with the green and just kind of cover a little bit of that up. Not all of it, because it looks okay. I like it to be a little imperfect, but I just felt like that would kind of blend her a little bit better into the page. So I put that on there. And then next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my theme, which is lies in my head, and I'm going to put, or actually I think I might put it's all in your head, just because I like that phrase a little bit better. I use, when I'm writing a title, I use my Pitt pen. You don't have to do that. You can use any pen, marker, whatever, but in case you want to know, and it's covered in paint too, but it is this Faber-Castell large Pitt pen, and I really like it because it blends really good, but it's also really dark when I'm wanting to put a title on my page. So what I'm going to do is right above her head, I'm going to put the words "It's all in your head." And I'm going to put 3 dots. because later I'm going to put all the journaling around here about what we journaled about on the first day. Okay, so I've got my title. Now as that dries, it's going to kind of blend into the background. I don't know if you can see exactly what I did here. Let me turn it so you can kind of see it. Okay, so that's where we're at. It's all in my head. I've got the head. I've got my head on there. I've got my washi tape. I've added some depth and everything. And so the next step would be to, as the title dries, I'm going to kind of highlight that with my white pen. I use a gel pen. These are cheap. You can get them at Walmart. I use a white gel pen, but you can use whatever, or you don't have to even highlight it if you don't want to, but I just kind of like it to stand out. So what I usually do is I'll either underline it in white, or I'll go over the top of the black writing with a white pen, and it'll kind of make it pop more. So then that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go across the top of it with this white pen, and you probably aren't going to be able to see it on the video very well, but I'll hold it up when I'm done. It's all in your head. And I don't do this, like, this is my own handwriting, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be fancy lettering. You don't have to have a bunch of, like, you know, skills in that area. But I don't know if you can see that now. See how it kind of just makes it pop with the white on top of it? So that is how I'm going to do my title. So what we've done is we've added a little depth, we've put on our image, we've got our title ready, and then tomorrow we are going to be ready to start drawing out and journaling some of those things that we wrote down on the first day and kind of getting that onto paper. So you guys have a great day and start getting this done. I want to see some of your stuff. If you want to post it, please. If not, that's cool too. You guys have a great day.